Hi there, guys. Welcome to our live lesson on Tuesday, January the 9th. Today I'm going to walk you through the approach of our pigment, our watercolor, that is in your art kit. And I am going to get you started on your color wheels for today. That is due, I believe, tomorrow, if I remember correctly. So, first things first, I apologize for the camera angle. We're kind of limited in terms of how we record, but I will do my best to kind of angle it once we get started so you can kind of see, and I'll make sure I hold things up. In regards to how I've kind of set myself up, I will angle this down a bit just to show you. All right, so a couple of things. I have here a cup of just clean water. I grabbed some paper towel to do a lot of wiping as we go. Here is our watercolor kit that you will find, our watercolor palette you will find in your kit. The paintbrush, of course, that comes with that. Keep that right in front. And what you will notice as well, something to kind of keep in mind if you've never used this pigment before, this side of your palette is actually where you can do your mixing. So there's really no need to sort of spread out everywhere. You can just use the top of your palette, which is actually what it's meant for. Another reason why I love watercolor so much is that it's so portable. So I mean, I've seen people create images on subways. I've seen people sort of park it at lunchtime or on a bench in a park and sort of pull out their little palettes with some water and just kind of paint and go. So just pretty versatile that way. So we're going to use this side of it to do our mixing for our color wheel. Okay, and then of course our watercolor paper. You will have your watercolor paper in your art kits. You get one, and I recommend that you cut your paper in half and you use one side of that watercolor paper. If you want to use regular paper, you can. It doesn't absorb the same way, obviously, because it's water, but you can if you want to. So what I've done here is I've traced out the wheel of which I've given you that is embedded in the lesson. So in regards to just making kind of a big circle and a smaller circle within, and then sectioning off the number of kind of squares, if you will, that you need to create your full color wheel. Also, there's so many templates online, really easy to access and to kind of guide you that way as well. And I just traced it right on your watercolor paper. Okay, so I'm going to angle this down again just a little bit so you can see sort of what I'm doing. Again, I will hold it up. First thing I'm going to do is understanding that with watercolor, your paper is dry, of course, and it's very porous. So what you want to do is open up the pores so it in fact receives and spreads your pigment evenly. So what I do, not too wet here, just with my brush, I kind of just run a little bit of water, just really kind of quickly over my areas that I'm going to paint. And again, all this is really doing is opening up the pores of the paper. And again, don't soak it by any means, just like a really kind of dry application of water. Okay, so first things first, in order to remember when you're working with water color paint. Like anything, you are going to start off a clean brush and make sure your brush is not dripping or soaking. It's just wet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start with our three primary colors. So red, blue, yellow. Again, looking at our color wheel, I've kind of identified where they should go. That is very, very important. I just kind of want to stress that. So where you put your red, your blue. Sorry guys, just lost connection, rejoining. I apologize, stay with me. There we go. Sometimes the internet cuts in and out. So where you place your pigments, originally your primary colors, is very important. Red goes at the top, blue to the left side, yellow to the right side. Make sure that you are in fact placing them in the right spots, because that matters in regards to mixing and using your color wheel effectively. So I'm going to dive right into my red pigment, again doing the same thing, diving right into my red, using this side of my palette, and I'm going to place my red directly where I need it to go. The key to watercolor is control of your actual water. I mean, that really is it. The effect of watercolor, that kind of wash look, is pretty stunning. And like anything, we always start off really light, and then to go back and make anything darker, super, super easy. So just to show you, so that's what it looks like right now. Pretty light, considering the actual true red pigment in the actual palette, right? Watercolor dries, again, if you're not blobbing a lot of water, dries really quickly. Another reason why I love it so much. Less is always more, and we always start lightest to darkest, just like our grayscale, just like the skills we've learned with value. You start from your highlight, your lightest point to your darkest point, and you build up value from there. The exact same skill applies to pigment. Start off very, very light, and then slowly work your way up to a darker pigment or a desired pigment that you so wish. Okay, so I'm just drawing this to make this a little faster for our video. I'm going to touch it. Still a little tiny bit damp, but again, you'll even notice that it's already starting to be dry. And I want it actually to be a little bit darker. So what I'm going to do now, less water on my brush, paper towel, going in, putting another layer of red, but again, I'm using less water because I want a richer pigment. If you want a lighter pigment, of course, you're going to use more water. Or sorry, a darker pigment, you're going to use less water. A lighter pigment, you're going to use more water. And like anything, any pigment you use, lightest to darkest, build up. If you can wrap your head around that, the idea of building up, so starting off light and then think of like each layer going up and up and up, and you get your darkest layer kind of sits on top. And the layering creates beautiful washes. And there you go. So it's already looking a little bit darker, right? And you kind of keep going with that application. Now, I'm going to clean my brush really, really well in regards to mixing. So I'm going to place purple on my color wheel. Now, for the sake of time in this video, I'm just going to show you how do you make purple. Well, we're going to mix our red and our blue. So our two primary colors create a secondary color, so purple being a secondary color. So for the sake of this, I'm taking my red, drying off, taking my blue, and I'm going to mix right here in my palette. Do your best always, guys, to keep a clean brush. There's nothing worse than going to get a color and it being, you know, mixed with like yellow and stuff on top. It's so quick and easy. Just remember. There we go. I almost got the purple that I want. I think I'm going to go a little bit more red on this, and I think we're good. That's good. Awesome. So like I said, mixing right on your palette. And another really cool thing with watercolor paint, so if you'll notice, so the red that we originally used here, it's already dried. So I can't touch it, nothing comes off, right? Now that color is still good for the next time round. So I'll leave this here, and if I want to go back to this particular red, I take a little bit of water, put it back in my dried paint, and then I can still use it. So the versatility and sort of longevity of watercolor, it lasts you forever. My palette that I have at home, it's enormous, and it has so much paint residue like from years ago that all I do is if I want to go back to that color, I just put some water and I can reuse that color. So it's really, really versatile and cool that way. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm not going to wipe it clean. I'm going to maybe use it as I continue. So there's my purple. I'm going to apply it now to my color wheel. Again, purple goes right here. That is very important. in regards to mixing and understanding what colors go with what to make our secondary colors. And again, there's my purple, and there I've mixed my 2 watercolor pigments, starting off super light purple, and I'm going to build my way up and make it darker and darker and darker by using less water on my brush for my next layer. There you go. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry, kind of give it a shake, 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 shake. And then again, I'm going to go back, I'm going to put another layer, and I'm going to keep building and keep doing that using less water on my brush until I get a pigment that I'm happy with, or a tone that I'm happy with of that purple. So you kind of keep doing that as you go in regards to your color wheel. Again, approach the medium. Water is what is controlling it. So if you want something lighter, use more water. Something darker, use less water. Start from your lightest, work your way up. Build your way up. And if you can wrap your head around that, I promise you, you will love watercolor just as much as I do. And if you have any questions, please, guys, I don't think anybody hopped in today, that's okay. If you have any questions, please email me, get a hold of me, I'm happy to help you. You can find me on my house painting, blaring music in my headphones, and just kind of tuning things out and getting some stuff done. So I hope that, hope this was helpful to you, and like always, happy creating.